Once again, a very warm welcome to all of our attendees. Please don't forget that you have been invited to the Plumbing Industry Awards that is happening on the 28th of July, 2022 at the Royal Elephant Hotel and Conference Center at 6 p.m. If you'd like some information about this, please contact marketing@iopsa.org. Please remember, IOPSA is an institute, meaning an organization, non-profit, meaning that their email addresses always end with .org and not .co.za. So if you have been having issues, which some have said that the emails are not going through, please check that you have put it as iopsa.org. So if you're contacting us at the safety department, that would be safety@iopsa.org. And if you want to get more information on the Plumbing Industry Awards, please contact marketing@iopsa.org. Another reminder about continually preventing COVID-19. Again, as we've mentioned this before, it's not just COVID, but all illnesses related to the touching of objects, surfaces. Even before COVID, we had, just the flu, the seasonal flu every year. And even Legionnaire's disease that is contracted from water and soil, touching contaminated surfaces. So it's a very good idea for us to continually use these steps, not just to prevent COVID-19, but most occupational illnesses that do occur. This means we need to wash our hands regularly. We need to use a hand sanitizer if we cannot wash our hands or don't have access to soap and water. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands, because this is how germs will obviously spread. Adhere to social distancing and avoid close contact with people who are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze with a flexed elbow or a tissue, and please make sure that you throw that tissue into a bin. And then clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces. If you can, please do your part and get vaccinated from the COVID-19 virus. So coming up, our next 3 Toolbox Talks for the next 3 weeks, starting today, is working at heights. And we're going to look at your 3 areas as plumbers where you are going to be working at heights. Mainly, we're looking at ladders, scaffolding, and ceilings. Next month, we will touch base on roof work. So this is working at heights on a roof, as well as working at heights on a cherry picker, a scissors lift, all those mobile elevated working platforms. And then also your suspended platforms. So we are looking at really driving home how to work at heights very safely. Starting off with ladders because it's the most commonly used working at heights tool for all of you plumbers out there. But our safety thought for this week is no safety, no pain. Please look at how we are spelling that. If you don't have safety, you will know about pain. So no safety, no pain is our thought for this week. And please, we want to really emphasize to you that ladders don't seem to be dangerous, but if they are used incorrectly, even a small fall could become seriously fatal. Even if it is not fatal, you could seriously injure yourself. And none of us want anybody to get injured while working on site. So what is the law behind how to use ladders? Well, there's 3 areas that we want to look at. First of all, if you are using a ladder that is connected to a scaffold, then the scaffold itself must be compliant, and then the ladder must also be compliant to SANS 18885. And this is in particular section 10.7, which speaks about the ladder that is being used on the actual scaffold. Now, it will tell you in that SANS 18885, especially when scaffolding is being erected, how to ensure that the ladder is properly installed for any person to be able to climb onto a platform. Obviously, there's going to be trapdoors, so this trapdoor can be closed, and then you'll have a fully decked platform. So there'll be no openings for people to fall through. But while climbing in and out of that scaffold, you need to have adequate access, safe access. And what does that mean? Well, you need to look at SANS 18885 section 10.7 for the correct method of how to install ladders. Now, the different types of scaffolding comes with different types of ladders as well. We want to remind you though, when it comes to the use of scaffolding, and we're going to chat about this actually next week on scaffolding, the different types and how to use scaffolding safely. One of the things that many plumbers are saying to us when we get to site is that they don't need to have a scaffolding inspection because they are not the ones that erected the scaffold. Now, technically, what you are saying is true, because the scaffolding inspector is the one who has to inspect that scaffolding every 7 days after inclement weather or after any adjustments have been made. But you must remember that you are the ones that are actually climbing that scaffold. So the reason why your clients or your principal contractor is requesting you to check that scaffold is because a lot of guys are climbing onto a scaffold even though there's no green safety use tag. Yes, it's the requirement of the person who's erecting that scaffold, as well as the scaffolding inspector, to ensure it is safe before people climb on it. But sometimes there's miscommunication. And so that is the reason why some principal contractors or clients are requesting you as well to have your own scaffolding inspection. Now, again, I've been rebuffed with another argument that we have not been trained in scaffolding, so how can we inspect it? And again, you're 100% correct. You shouldn't inspect a scaffold to sign it off if you are not trained. But we are not asking you to sign it off. All we are asking you to do is take a look at a few things on a checklist, and we've got a template for you. You just take a look at a few things. Does it have a green safety use tag? Does it have safe access? Does it have adequate guarding right around it, a fully decked platform? There's a few things that in the questions themselves, you will be able to answer those and then determine whether it's safe to use. So please, if you are having this issue, which we have had some of you reaching out to us and we've assisted you with these templates, if anybody else is having those issues, please reach out to us. We want to be able to give you those templates to inspect scaffolding yourself. Now, when it comes to ladders, which is our Toolbox Talk for today, the General Safety Regulation 13A is what gives you the legislation regarding all other uses of ladders to ensure that it is safe for means of access or safe while working on a ladder. Now, if your work falls within the construction regulation, it's interpreted that any work at heights is constituted as construction. This is not 100% correct, because what is the definition of working at heights? Well, if you go to the mine, they say if you take the first step on a ladder, that's a height, because that is a full risk area. Others will say, well, it's only once you've reached 1.8 meters. Then some will say, but you can still fall and kill yourself from 1.5 meters. So what is the definition? Well, we're not going to tell you 100% because the law doesn't tell us 100%. What we're going to say is find out what your client is requesting. Read the safety specification under full protection and ask them, do they identify that work as working at heights in accordance with construction regulations? If it is, you need to follow construction regulation 10, full protection, even when working with just a normal ladder, because there is a potential to fall off of it. Now, what if your client says, no, working on a ladder, the first 2 steps, doing a little bit of plumbing or, changing out the thermostat, that's not necessarily working at heights, it's fine. Can you still take the, how can we put it, the spirit of what construction regulation 10 tells you? Can you still read and understand it? And the reason why we're asking you to do that is there's nothing wrong with going over and above your current safety standard. We're not saying that you have to design a full protection plan. We're not saying you have to have a rescue plan, but maybe just in the spirit of that construction regulation, you can identify ways of making it even safer for your staff, your employees, or even yourself to work on a ladder. Again, as we said, no safety, no pain. So the more safety you have, the better it's going to be for you and your employees. So again, let's take a look at how to set up a ladder correctly. What is the correct use of ladders, whether it's climbing onto a roof, climbing onto a platform, climbing into a ceiling, and what must you do to ensure that that ladder is safe? Well, first of all, we want to look at the correct setup of the ladder. Now, before we even start, we want to say, do you have the correct ladder? First, identify how you are going to do the work and the type of ladder you need. Now, in this picture, you'll see this person is working with an extension ladder. That is 2 straight ladders that is connected in, correctly, that you can extend the ladder from 3 meters to, let's say, 6 meters. Now, this is the type of ladder that many people will use to access certain areas. So accessing a roof or accessing a ceiling, because it's a lot easier to maneuver. Now, for every 4 meters you want to go up, you need to take the ladder at least 1 meter away from the structure. And this is the 4-to-1 ratio, or also summed up in a 75 degrees. So if it's 75 degrees, that is the angle that you want your ladder at. So here it is represented on the wall and on the floor as 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 meters up, 1 meter away from the actual wall. Now, it's not 100% precise. We're not asking you to go and check the measurement, but this is going to be approximately 75 degrees. And that is the safest angle for you to set up your ladder. Then you'll notice that you have to have 3 points of contact. Now, what is 3 points of contact? There's a lot of discussion around this. That means both hands and 1 foot, or both feet and 1 hand. That is 3 points of contact. So while climbing a ladder, if you are carrying something in your hand, it is impossible that you can have 3 points of contact. The reason being, if you're carrying it in your hand and you have 1 hand on the ladder, the minute you let that hand go in order to climb higher, you'll only have 2 feet on the ladder, which means only 2 points of contact. And so this is why it's so important for you not to carry any equipment or tools inside or on your hand or in your hand at any time. So you want to ensure your 3 points of contact at all times. Now, when climbing that ladder, as you can see, he's got his tool belt on. All his tools are secured around his waist, and this will allow him to have 3 points of contact. Then you also must ensure that only 1 person climbs that ladder at any given time. If you are working on the ladder, you can also only have 1 person on that ladder at any given time. You'll notice the bottom section there says, ladders are designed as one-man working devices with sufficient strength to support 1 person as well as his tools. Now, I've been on a few ladders, which gives you the safe working load on the side. So that safe working load is generally 130 kgs, 150 kgs. You'll just need to see the type of ladder that you've purchased and the type of safe working load on it. Excuse me, but you'll also notice that the tools that you are using also weighs a little extra. Perhaps even what you are using on that ladder might weigh a little extra. So please just take a look at that. Don't look at just your own body weight. Look at your body weight with a tool belt that you are carrying up as well. And then ensure that you are still within that safe working load. And again, ensure that there is only 1 person working on that ladder. Now, if you need to access a ceiling, obviously you're going to open the access way or the access hatch into the ceiling. You still want to ensure that 1-to-4 ratio. So the ratio below is always going to be x over 4, which means for every 4 meters you go up, you need to be 1 meter away. Now, this might be difficult because many homes, you don't know the size of the ceiling, but you can have a bit of a guesstimate. On many of them, it's about 3 meters or just over 3 meters. And so the 1 meter away can still suffice, even though it's going to be at an angle of maybe 70 degrees or 78 degrees. Again, we're not asking you to be 100% specific, but we just want you to look at the idea behind the 4-to-1 ratio and the 75-degree angle. This will then just give you the proper angle in order to climb up the ladder safely, as well as descend that ladder safely. But one of the most important aspects of climbing into a ceiling is ensuring that that ladder protrudes or extends through the opening of a ceiling or the opening of any entrance to the ceiling. And this must be at least 900 millimeters. So it's between 900 and a meter, depending on the size of your ladder. So if you take a look at standing on the base of this ladder, you'll then be able to climb up. And as soon as you get to where the ceiling is, you're not having to bend over and put your hands into the ceiling yet. You can still hold onto the ladder. And once you've climbed up sufficiently with your hands and your feet on the ladder still, it gives you enough space or enough height on that ladder, that extra 1 meter or 900 millimeters, in order to take your feet from the ladder and put it onto a safe support inside the ceiling while still holding the ladder. Now, we never want you to have a ladder that is too short. And you know the problem with this, because a ladder that is too short will not allow you to reach the ladder safely. So in this picture, you'll see somebody that's climbing onto a roof with a ladder that is too short. Now, how do you know if your ladder is too short? Well, very simple. If your ladder is too short, you'll be reaching to get on or get off of the ladder. Now, in this instance, you are relying on something other than the ladder in order to hold or support your weight while transferring your weight onto that ladder. The ladder must extend past the platform. This is legislation. It has to extend past the platform at least 900 to 1 meter. This allows the person to hold the ladder while stepping off the ladder or back onto the ladder. But using a ladder in this manner, as you see on the left-hand side, reaching to shift your weight from the platform onto the ladder will cause the ladder to shift under your weight. Now, many take it very slowly. The ladder starts wobbling as their legs start wobbling, and they say, well, it's fine. I'm still safe. I will just take it slowly. This is not safe. You might be lucky that you haven't fallen, but it doesn't mean that you have been safe. So remember, just because you haven't fallen doesn't necessarily mean that it's been safely set up. Maybe you're just taking a little bit more precaution getting on or off of that. But the time will come where that ladder will fail you, or your body is going to shift its weight too quickly for you to be able to handle. And this is where you can come tumbling down. And if this ladder does shift under your weight, you will increase the potential and the likelihood for a fall. And remember, a fall can be fatal. Even if it's just from 1 meter or 2 meters high, it can still be a fatal fall. So we never ever want to use a ladder that is too short in order to access certain areas. And this comes in particular when we're speaking to the plumbers about accessing a ceiling. And this is because sometimes a ceiling that you're climbing into is also very narrow, very short. So it's very difficult for you to have a ladder that goes or extends further past it, but extend as far past as possible. If the roof above that doesn't allow for it, well, then it probably doesn't even allow for you to climb into that ceiling. So most ceilings should allow a person, even though you're hunched over, to be able to climb into. That is a minimum of 900 millimeters. So your ladder should be able to access or extend past the actual ceiling base into the roof cavity. Now, if we take a look at someone that may use a ladder in an incorrect manner. So here you have somebody ensuring that they have assistance with their ladder, using it with the help of a friend. Now, we want to ensure the following things. The ladder must have stable footing, so the base support and the ladder itself must be stable. In this picture, that is not the case. It might look stable, but why would the person be hesitant to climb onto that ladder? Well, it's because it is not stable. The top support, where you are climbing toward, should always have support at the top as well. The ladder should be set up correctly. In this instance, the ladder is not set up correctly. No tools or equipment should be able to fall off of your ladder. Now, that's also true. We should never have a ladder where we've put tools on top of it that would allow it to fall to a lower level, because this could hurt the person beneath you. And if there is that potential, please remember there's a lot of other safety aspects that you need to consider. So if you are going to have tools and equipment that you're going to be placing on top of a ladder, then you need to barricade the area below the ladder. You need to put up signage for work overhead and the potential for things to drop. Any person working below you must wear a hard hat. So now you think, well, we don't have all of that, then you cannot use your tools or place your tools onto an upper level. What you have to do is ensure that it is placed into a container where the tool cannot fall off. This is why on scaffolding, you've got those little braces or those little plates that run right around the scaffolding platform. These are called kick plates. And this stops any tools from falling off that platform. It's the same as working in any heights area. So sometimes you have had designed for ladders specifically, little tool buckets that can be placed on top of that ladder, and it is secured to the ladder. This allows you to put the tool inside or take it out. And it also allows you to then have a tool belt on and then have it inside the tool belt for you to access that tool safely and then place it back so that it doesn't fall. Many other companies or clients or contractors, principal contractors, will request that every single tool has a lanyard, and that lanyard must then be connected to a stable place, either around your wrist while you're using it or connected to the tool belt when you are not using it. So again, you never want to allow tools or equipment to fall off of your ladder. Then a very good question. Are you using the right ladder for the type of work you are performing? And has it been inspected to ensure that it is safe to use? Well, what must you check? Before you start using your ladder, have you checked that all the rungs, the cleats, and the steps are in good condition? The side rails are intact. There's no cracks, bends, or breaks. The rungs, cleats, or steps fit snugly into the side rails. There's no corrosion on the ladder. The side rails and steps are free from any oil or grease. Remember, whatever is under your shoes is probably going to be on the steps of the ladder. Do movable parts operate freely without binding or excessive play? Are the ropes on extension ladders intact without fraying or excessive wear? Are damaged ladders removed from service and marked do not use? Get rid of a ladder that is not safe to use. Then ladders should have a serial number, and all ladders must be placed on a register, and you should have an adequate checklist for that. So again, let's recap all of this information that we've chatted about specifically on ladders. All ladders must be set up and used correctly. Check the ladder and ensure it is safe to use. Check the base or the foot support, make sure that it is stable. Check the angle of the setup, that 1 to 4 or 75-degree angle. Check that it extends past the platform that you need to access. That's at least 900 to 1 meters. Then check the area around the ladder. If you've set up the ladder in an area, perhaps it's over a door, you'll see there's a cone in front of this door to remind a person or to warn a person that there could be a danger or dangerous environment ahead. Check the space around the actual ladder as well to ensure that there's adequate space to be able to move around it, or if people need to move around it. Work as a team, help to set up the ladder together. And then using a safe ladder in a safe manner could save you from a fatal fall. Now, this is just one of the areas of working at heights that we want to discuss. Next week, we're going to be looking at scaffolding. The week following, we're looking at ceilings. And then next month, we're going to be looking at working on roofs, mobile elevated working platforms, as we mentioned, as well as those other areas between just normal work as well as construction work and how to ensure you are safe when working at heights. So we want to say thank you very much for joining us. Again, our safety thought is if you don't have safety, so no safety, then you will know pain. It does seem like something that's very small. Oftentimes we use ladders even at home that is not done safely. In fact, most people that get injured at home is because of the incorrect use of a ladder. So if we start safely at home, hopefully we can bring that attitude or safe behavior to the workplace as well. So never underestimate safety even at your own private homes. Thanks very much.